In our last video, we traveled from Zagreb, Croatia to Budapest, Hungary by bus, officially starting our 90 days in the Schengen area. Budapest is a place we've wanted to explore for a long time, and what makes it even better, our friend Hannah flew all the way from Chicago to spend the week with us. Greetings and welcome from the Hungarian capital of Budapest, and we absolutely cannot wait to show you around. Do you remember in Sofia how we were talking about there was so much influence from so many different empires? Budapest can also claim this. The Romans were here, of course, right? Because the Romans were pretty much everywhere. This was a settlement called a quincum, and at one point Marcus Aurelius came here to write part of his book Meditations. So the place that is now Budapest was the Roman settlement of a quincum at one point. The Ottomans, they were also here. The opposite side of the river is the part that's called Buda. So Buda was for over 100 years ruled by the Ottomans. And of course, Budapest played a major part in the Austria-Hungary Empire. This was the co-capital of the empire along with Vienna. So a lot of history here, a lot of different influence. Now it is one of the most bustling metropolises in all of Europe. There's a lot to see, and we're gonna try to squeeze it all into 1 week. So if you've heard anything about Budapest, you've probably heard about there's two different sections called Buda and Pest. Together they make Budapest. Well, actually, it was 3 different settlements that in 1873 combined to make Budapest. It was Buda, Buda, and Pest, and then they became Budapest in 1873. And actually for a while, even though they weren't together, people referred to this area as Pest Buda or Pest Buda. But eventually it all came together to be Budapest, which sounds a lot better, right? It sounds a lot better than Pest Buda. So we're excited to show you the modern version of Budapest, but also look into some of the history that made this place what it is today. How's that for a view?
Just crossed the Danube River from Pest, now we're in Buda. This isn't our first time crossing the Danube, and it's not going to be our last. If you recall, we crossed the Danube back in Romania when we were traveling to Bulgaria. It's hard to believe that this is the same river because we're almost over 900 kilometers away from where we originally crossed. The Danube is the second longest river in Europe.
So right now we're making our way over to the Buda Castle, which is of course on the other side of where we are staying and where most of the action is. And we had to walk all the way around because actually one of the more famous bridges, the chain bridge here in Budapest, is closed right now and completely closed. Like no one can walk on it, no one can drive on it. So that has been kind of a journey. We've been walking for quite some time, but we finally got to what we think is the entrance of this castle. Just something that's kind of funny. I mean, we had construction when we saw Elisabeth Tower in London, and then Zagreb Cathedral is under construction. It's something when you're traveling, you're never really gonna know what you're gonna run into. But for the most part, you can still see it. It looks pretty nice. I'm gonna come up here real quick and show you. So it's directly behind me, and then you can kind of see the crane and then the scaffolding on both towers. That's what we ran into, had to come all the way around, but now we've made it to where the funicular is that could take us to the top.
I love the word funicular. Now, if you remember in our last video, we took the shortest funicular in the world in Zagreb. We're gonna go check out this one and see how it compares.
So it looks like this funicular was reconstructed in 1986, and we can already tell it's much larger than the one in Zagreb, and should be a pretty good view.
Excuse me, get in the car.
Oh, that's hilarious. definitely confirm that that was a much longer funicular ride than in Zagreb. Beautiful view when you get to the top, so that's almost worth it right there, just to see the entire cityscape of Budapest and the entire Danube River, all of the bridges. We had a couple interesting parts of the journey up. So first of all, we did have someone behind us that was a little too friendly.
A little aggressive.
A little too friendly, maybe.
Not minding the social distancing.
Yeah, there is no personal bubble going on. In fact, I think that you could probably see him in one of the videos we took, so we'll point him out. But yeah, it was a little weird in the line, but once we got in, we were trying to find the best car to have the best view. So we wanted to get to the top car because you could see everything. The middle car was empty, but we didn't want to go in there. And then
it was empty for a reason.
I guess it was empty for a reason, because then I guess they just have a designated amount of people that go in, but the person was like, "Get in the car, please, we're leaving."
We were dying laughing.
So we got in a little bit of trouble, but yeah, definitely worth it to come up to the top, and we're gonna go check out the castle. So definitely a lot to see over here at the Buda Castle. We actually didn't even go into the hall and pay for the extra portion of actually going inside. But if you just walk around, there's a lot of just open air space where you can see a lot of cool architecture. There's a cool fountain, and the view, everywhere you look, it's just an amazing view of the city. Highly recommend coming to the top of the hill and seeing Buda Castle. Our next stop is going to be the historic Fisherman's Bastion. So right behind me is the statue of the Independence War here in Hungary, and as you can see, there's a lot of people that have left flags and little notes and mementos here at the base of the statue. So tomorrow is actually going to be the Independence Day, the Liberation Day for Hungary, and it's so funny because when we were in Bulgaria, we also got to see Liberation Day in Bulgaria. These are not things we planned for, we just kind of got lucky. So really looking forward to see what it's like tomorrow in the city for this national holiday.
This is Matthias Church. You can see the beautiful mosaic roof, much like the one we saw in Zagreb, St. Mark's Church, but this is way bigger. It's got like teal and orange tiles, really, really stunning. The church is also surrounded by the Fisherman's Bastion, which we're gonna show you next.
So we're just about to walk over to the Bastion right now, and it looks like a lot of people had the same idea as us today. We actually have heard that people have gotten off early today because of the Liberation Day tomorrow. Fisherman's Bastion has 7 stone towers, and these stone towers represent the 7 chieftains of Hungary. These chieftains founded the Kingdom of Hungary in the year 895, so just think about how old some of these structures are. 895 was the year that Hungary was officially founded. So we've had a very enjoyable morning and afternoon going around Buda and seeing all of the historic landmarks, but we are starving because we still haven't had a proper meal today. So we're gonna go find some traditional Hungarian food.